Hey guys, it's Will here. I'm a web methods developer, which is a middleware product, and it costs quite a bit of money. Like in the past, it's been $1 million. So large companies tend to use it. And there was some Java programming in that, but essentially, I didn't really get into some of the newer stuff that's happening outside of the big corporate type projects, which is like say web apps. And I've played a little bit here, from time to time on the side with Angular and stuff like that. But recently, I decided to get back into it and ramp up my knowledge of some of the latest technology. So when I looked into web development and mobile development, I sort of tend to try to find the latest and greatest, best thing that makes sense and is easy to use. And what I've come up with at this point, it's September 2017, is ReactJS, which is a framework for web apps developed by Facebook. It seems a lot easier than Angular. When I was using Angular, I picked it up, but there was some stuff that I didn't really like. All the scope and all this kind of stuff was a little bit confusing. So anyways, and then React, there's also React Native, which you can use to build web apps. But when I was doing web apps a little while ago, I thought, if I want to do a mobile, I should use HTML5 and make it sort of web-based. And that uses the browser that's kind of built into the mobile phones. But there's React Native will actually generate a phone for the iPhone as well. I mean, an app for the iPhone as well as Android. So it's actually a native. So that's the front end sort of aspects. And then when you want to call, services, you can, like even a database, you can do that via a REST API. And when I did the corporate gigs, we usually use SOAP and kind of the complex protocols for sending messages, web services and that. But this is using just basic internet protocols. So you've got like HTTP. So you've got, like normally when you go to a browser and you type in a URL, you're using a GET request, or if you submit a form, you're doing a POST. But there's also put and delete for updates and deleting. So you can actually use those protocols for doing the deletes and that without it being in the XML or SOAP message. So that's, and then the actual data is in a JSON file. So that's really simple, and they're a lot smaller than XML, which can be pretty verbose with all the tags and stuff, especially SOAP. But so anyway, so you've got the back end, you got MongoDB, you can use Mongoose, then you've got this node.js. So what happened was JavaScript has been moved not just in the browser, but you can use it on the back end as well. So node.js is kind of like the server, and it's written in JavaScript, and there's Express, which is a bit of a framework around that. So you've got, when you're coding and stuff like that, or even for deployment, but if you're at home, you can just have a real simple server, a web server running. And so JavaScript is also kind of matured. There's newer versions, and some of it doesn't work with some of the newer browsers or some of the browsers. So you can compile or transpile, build, convert the JavaScript, some of the newer features to stuff that'll work in the browser. So there's a lot going on right now, but I really like it. It's very self-contained. When you create a folder for your project and you kind of install, there's also NPM, which is the package manager for the Node stuff, and so it's all self-contained. You kind of grab the modules that you want to use. There's lots of modules for Node.js, and you can put them in a little JSON file. And so hopefully I might try to do some videos to walk you guys through this, but I just if you're in the terminal, you can I'll go through, or maybe you can check out some of the tutorials for React, but basically you create a React app and you give it a name called recipes here, and that creates a folder called recipes. I'm in that folder right now, and it creates a whole bunch of folders for you, or in code, and then when you want to build, you do this npm run build, and that creates a build folder, and that's where that's your production. Like, so the stuff that you run for development in the source package is not compressed and not really ready for for production. So this is going to make it create a build folder, and it's going to put the final files that you need inside your. So once you run that build, if we go into the build folder, you can see the index.html and there's some static files like the CSS and stuff like that. So the other cool thing is this thing called Surge, which is so you install it locally. You might have to use sudo install Surge globally, the -G, and then when you run Surge, it basically puts it up on a website for free, and that's a CDN, so it's really fast. And basically now if we go to this URL which they give you, you can create one, and this is some data that I pulled off of a REST API. So in the code, you just once the component is loaded, it just goes and grabs the JSON data and puts it into a data variable, and then I just map that to into a div here. And so the map is cool because it kind of goes through each field in the JSON response, which is there's some 5 movies, so it basically just plots those on the screen here. And I'm not going to go through all this code right now, but basically this was generated. I mean, not this, but the structure and all these files were created when I did that create React app, and then I just went in and modified this. And I've been doing a lot of YouTube videos and watching courses and stuff, and just trying to get up to speed. So it's pretty cool because this little thing grabs data from a JSON, like a web service, and returns it, and then you put it on the screen. So it's just got the data aspect to it, the remote call, and this is all hosted on a really simple web page. All right, guys, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a walkthrough of stuff that I'm looking at right now, and hopefully I'll go in more details. I just want to see if people are interested in getting into some of this code, because it's kind of the latest and greatest. You got your JavaScript, you got your node.js, React, and React Native for mobile apps. And like you can use Mongo as a NoSQL database, and you can even put this up on some of the hosted sites and create a little REST API using Node.js if you want, and then get your data from that. Okay, guys, let me know what you think. Talk to you later.